Story 1. Hey James, you will not remember me, but my friends and I sat at a table next to you, Harry Styles, and others at Manchurian Legends in London's Chinatown about 6 years ago. We did not bother you, but you were extremely entitled, yelled, and treated the waitstaff terribly. When one of my party politely suggested you calm down, you became aggressive and threatening in a chubby, boozy panda way. So my question is, why did Harry seem so cool while you were such a massive throbbing bellend? James Corden's IMA. Story 2. There was a Jose Canseco Ask Me Anything. Dude is clearly a lunatic. Someone asked him about a comment he had made about being able to time travel, and this exchange followed. Canseco, time travel is possible, but you can only go back in time through your dreams. I do it all the time. Learn about dream control. I have mastered it. Redditor, I call that a memory. Story 3. The entire comment thread where a Redditor panicked because his laptop switched to Spanish and all the replies were in that language. Story 4. Lil Jon, in his Ask Me Anything, was asked what his favorite dinosaur was, and he replied Barney. I don't know why I still remember it all these years later, but it was amazing. Runner-up for me is that entire thread where every answer was Mel Gibson's toes. Story 5. I don't know about the greatest, but the one that made me laugh the most was a reply to the question, what was the hardest thing you've had to say? The first was someone commenting on the death of a family member. The second was someone saying, Worcestershire. Story 6. Someone corrected Daniel Radcliffe on a Harry Potter question and called him a filthy casual. Story 7. It is imperative that the cylinder and the larger object remain unharmed. Any replies from the original poster are acceptable. Edit. I would like to change my answer to hospital. I thought it was an edit to the post, but it is a separate comment. Story 8. The intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. Story 9. Probably the comment that saved someone's life by telling them to get a carbon monoxide tester. Story 10. The Reddit community roast me had a man who was severely depressed and asked to be roasted to have a reason to end his life. He was not roasted. The thread became wholesome, with everyone showing him support and kindness. One comment, roast style but kind, said you look like the guy I know who went to get help and recovered. The original poster later updated that he had truly recovered. Story 11. A man posted a picture of his wife holding a Nintendo 64 controller with her thumb and index finger on the joystick, saying she doesn't get why he finds it funny. Someone commented, is it because it reminds you how she holds your penis? Story 12. I have 3 that I always think of. Today you, tomorrow me. Grief comes in waves. You just won the lottery. You are fucked. Story 13. I cannot access external links. Please paste the text you want cleaned. I will. Correct spelling, expand all acronyms into full words, remove meaningless repetition, fix punctuation, remove special characters and links, and output only the cleaned content optimized for Azure text-to-speech. Do you want American or British English spelling? Story 14. The man correcting Barack Obama in his Ask Me Anything session. It still cracks me up. Story 15. I carry a device in my pocket that can access the entirety of human knowledge, and I use it to pick fights with strangers and look at pictures of cats. Story 16. Someone is going to come in here to say, I also choose this guy's dead wife. That was a great comment, and the meme carried weight for a while, but I am always surprised that I still see it. My personal favorite is the pun on putting the cart before the horse, as putting Descartes before the whores. Story 17. That guy who said, for fuck's sake, can you all post links with your answers, please? This thread is just a Reddit insider circle jerk otherwise. Story 18. The guy who goes on long-winded stories only to end with, and then my dad took me out back and brutally beat me with jumper cables. Story 19. The guy who inserts a World Wrestling Entertainment hell in a cell reference into every comment he makes gets me every time. Story 20. The person who responded to a man who tried heroin once and destroyed his entire life. His message about novelty is something I've seen referenced often since it was posted. 15 years later, I still see it come up, and it gives me chills to read. Story 21. Rick Astley told a user fuck you when they asked him if he was ever going to give them up. Story 22. This is not a famous comment, but there was a thread where someone asked why birds sing in the morning. The top comment said something along the lines of birds signaling to other birds that they are tough for having survived the night. The comment made me cry, and I have never been able to find it again. Story 23. Hi honey. How was work? It was fine. I spent the day gluing spiders' mouths shut to terrify grasshoppers. Just science things. What the fuck? Yeah, I do not even ask questions anymore. If anyone can find the link, that would be awesome. Story 24. The man who apparently went into a coma dreamed of a whole new family and life. He woke up traumatized because he believed it was real. It all happened because he noticed a lamp become distorted in the dream. Story 25. A man told a story about another man who was so lazy, he called the bridge of a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier and asked them to turn the ship slightly because the sun was in his eyes while he lay in bed. Story 26. I cannot remember the thread, but I remember the man who blasted this brat in the grocery store with a fart for the ages. I will never forget the sentence. I had taken the words from his mouth and filled them with a fart. Edit. Found it. Story 27. From user G Snow on grief. Alright, here goes. I'm old. What that means is that I've survived so far, and a lot of people I've known and loved did not. I've lost friends, best friends, acquaintances, coworkers, grandparents, my mother, relatives, teachers, mentors, students, neighbors, and many others. I have no children, and I cannot imagine the pain of losing a child. But here are my 2 cents. I wish I could say you get used to people dying. I never did. I do not want to. It tears a hole through me whenever somebody I love dies, no matter the circumstances. I do not want it to not matter or to be something that just passes. My scars are a testament to the love and the relationship I had with that person. If the scar is deep, so was the love. So be it. Scars show that I can love deeply and live deeply, be cut or even gouged, and still heal, continue to live and continue to love. The scar tissue is stronger than the original flesh ever was. Scars are only ugly to people who cannot see. Grief comes in waves. When the ship is first wrecked, you are drowning with wreckage all around you. Everything floating around you reminds you of the beauty and the magnificence of the ship that was and is no more. All you can do is float. You find some piece of the wreckage and hang on for a while. It might be a physical object, a happy memory, a photograph, or a person who is also floating. For a while, all you can do is float and stay alive. In the beginning, the waves are 100 feet tall and crash over you without mercy. They come 10 seconds apart and do not even give you time to catch your breath. All you can do is hang on and float. After a while, maybe weeks or months, you will find the waves are still 100 feet tall, but they come further apart. When they come, they still crash over you and wipe you out. But in between, you can breathe and function. You never know what will trigger the grief. It might be a song, a picture, a street intersection, or the smell of a cup of coffee. It can be just about anything, and the wave comes crashing. But in between waves, there is life. Somewhere down the line, and it is different for everybody, you find that the waves are only 80 feet tall or 50 feet tall. While they still come, they come further apart. You can see them coming: an anniversary, a birthday, Christmas, or landing at Chicago O'Hare International Airport. You can see them coming for the most part and prepare yourself. When a wave washes over you, you know that somehow you will come out the other side, soaking wet, sputtering, still hanging on to some tiny piece of the wreckage, but you will come out. Take it from an old man. The waves never stop coming, and somehow you do not really want them to. But you learn that you will survive them. Other waves will come, and you will survive them too. If you are lucky, you will have lots of scars from lots of loves and lots of shipwrecks. Story 28. People arguing over Francis Bacon, and someone suggesting that Francis Bacon would be a good Reddit username, with the user Francis Bacon replying that it would be. Story 29. He really laid out the "so you just won the lottery" comment. Story 30. The rabies story: what happens to the body when dying of rabies. It is a masterpiece that explains the horror a person experiences. Story 31. There was a man who posted about how he was jealous of his son, not in a bad way but jokingly proud. The first response was, "At least you had sex with his mom." Story 32. I cannot offer a link to the post, but the one I remember most was about 10 years ago. A guy was talking about a duck he had found and photographed, and things went off the rails. The duck somehow became a chicken. Someone said, "Fuck that chicken." The original poster said, "I want to see you do it. How do you fuck a chicken?" The next comment was, "Well, you sell that chicken a cheap inkjet printer with no extra ink. That chicken is fucked." I never laughed so much. You had to be there. Story 33. Maybe the one I think is greatest does not fit the flow here with the short, witty ones. It was a post where a man went into amazing detail on what to do if you won millions in the lottery. Story 34. Definitely, are you fucking sorry? Story 35. For fuck's sake. Can you all post links with your answers, please? This thread is just a Reddit insider circle jerk. Story 36. Someone posted on the subreddit tragedy about their boyfriend wanting to name their future child Nova if it was a girl, solely to be unique. The top comment was, "Tell him no." It set off a chain reaction of phonetic variations. Nove, 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 Nove Jose, Nuff Ve Josie, Nuff Veve Josie, Nos Veve Jokese. Story 37. First of all, puppies are adorable. I wouldn't say I love my pig. Our relationship is purely platonic. Story 38. The swamps of Dagoba and the grief that comes in waves. The comments are it for me. Story 39. There are no more 0 days. A subreddit was created for that message called Non-Zero Day. Story 40. Anything that mentions being beaten with jumper cables. Story 41. I learned that by holding the spacebar on your smartphone, you can move the cursor with your thumb. It may not be the best method for everyone, but to those of us who sometimes drag our thumbs across the screen trying to place the cursor, it is glorious. Story 42. The comment "I also choose this guy's dead wife" is a legendary gutbuster that still gets referenced to this day, almost a decade later. Story 43. Descartes before the whores was like a triple entendre from such an interesting Ask Me Anything. Story 44. The greatest comment was probably the one that convinced 10,000 people to argue about whether a hot dog is a sandwich. Story 45. The longer I live on this planet, the more I understand why roosters start their day screaming. Hybrid Akali. Story 46. I'm not sure, but it may have been related to a man who had 2 broken arms. Story 47. The fictional story of the man who hired a private investigator to follow his wife because he thought she was having an affair. Jenny is giving him kisses. Jenny is a bitch. Story 48. The Ask Reddit question was, have you ever picked up a hitchhiker? The comment has since been called Today You, Tomorrow Me. Story 49. I do not see it anywhere here, but for some reason the top comment on this news story absolutely killed me. Story 50. I am a big fan of electronic arts proving that they do not know how to read the room, hand-waving corporate greed as a benevolent way for players to grind for days to earn a skin, and then watching the entire internet band together to tell them to get out. Story 51. Wasn't there a guy who called Daniel Radcliffe a filthy casual for accidentally calling the Death Day party in Harry Potter a birthday party? There was also a man who died and really liked breasts, so he had them on his urn. Someone said, I was saying boob urns. It's a reference to The Simpsons and it's hilarious. Story 52. Deep fucking value. What is an exit strategy? Story 53. The best comment is the story of the cum box. The pictures are still among the grossest I have seen on Reddit. Laughing out loud. It is exactly what it sounds like. It was a shoebox, and whenever I masturbated I ejaculated into it. I have had it for 2 or 3 years, so it contains a fair amount of semen. Smells atrocious, and I tried to burn it once. When I lit it on fire, it was too damp and it simply sizzled and did not catch. Burning semen smells awful, so I sprayed it with deodorant to remove the burned smell. It also has some saturated paper stuck to it. That is pretty much it. Because people were asking, my greatest shame. Update 1. Many people asked why. I am apparently a rather disturbed individual. It just kinda happened. I bought new shoes and needed somewhere to ejaculate, so I used the box. It escalated. I kept using it each time, telling myself I would throw it out soon, but I never did. 2 or 3 years later, I still have it. It was not planned. Update 2. The post exploded in popularity. It received more than 20,000 views. I did not expect that. Update 3. I often receive private messages asking about updates or the current status of the box, usually a few a week. Current status. I have created life. Mold has begun to grow and has taken over much of the box. It smells worse, mainly because my apartment is damper and it does not dry as quickly. I included a new picture. I will never be rid of my need for it. I both hate and love the box, just as I both hate and love myself. Also, 2.7 million views. I never could have expected this outcome. Story 54. I stumbled upon a subreddit where people pretended to be aliens, I hope, and someone posted, I love humans. Their inside wet makes my outside wet. Story 55. I took the words out of his mouth and filled it with a fart. Story 56. Major League Baseball umpire Rob Drake tweeted, I will be buying an Armalite Model 15 rifle tomorrow, because if you impeach my president this way, you will have another civil war. Make America Great Again 2020. According to a copy of the tweet obtained by Entertainment and Sports Programming Network, Major League Baseball says it is aware of the tweet. Comment about the misspelling of civil. You expect an umpire to have two working eyes? Story 57. It involves someone being beaten by their father with a set of jumper cables. Story 58. I cannot think of any specifics, but anything by the Reddit user ShittyMorph. Story 59. I saw a post recently in which the original poster sent a message to someone she was dating. I do not have a single damn, red or blue to give. Honestly, it is the first comeback I can remember on demand, so this one wins for me. Story 60. Swamps of Dagoba. Story 61. Someone said that Donald Trump is the fire festival of presidents. Story 62. Forgive me, but I cannot find the thread. Basically, it is a picture of a beautiful wood floor with a mural carved into it, leaving the wood unfinished. Everyone is talking about how beautiful it is, and someone says, until your dog urinates on it. Another replies, so what? You just clean it up. The original commenter says, urine would soak right into it. Someone else responds, oh, big urine guy? Do you know how urine reacts to every surface? Story 63. Can someone find the thread about the husband who posted annual updates about his wife casually waffle stomping her things on the train? Laughing my ass off? Story 64. I cannot open external links. Please paste the text you want edited. When you do, I will correct spelling and punctuation. Expand all acronyms to their full forms. Remove meaningless repetition, special characters, and links. Produce a single cleaned version optimized for Azure text-to-speech. Paste the content and I will process it. Story 65. Someone posted name the worst band that has a number and the word maroon in the name. The comment was 30 seconds to Mars. Story 66. One of my absolute favorites appeared in an Am I the Asshole post. That asshole is more full of himself than a set of Russian nesting dolls. Story 67. This is not the greatest comment in Reddit history. This is just a tribute. Story 68. Honestly, I would say it is the one about a sense of pride and accomplishment by Electronic Arts. Nobody will ever come close to that level of interaction on a comment. It is not even close. Granted, it was negative interaction, but it was still quite impressive. Story 69. The narwhal bacons at midnight is now the official phrase to identify yourself as a Reddit user. Story 70. There was a British man whose Australian friend visited him in the United Kingdom. He pronounced Loughborough as Loughborough. As an Australian, I crack up every time I think of it. It sounds just like place names here. Story 71. My personal favorite is the man who was extremely angry about a poorly made burrito. Story 72. My name is Cow, and when it's night, or when the moon is shining bright, and all the men have gone to bed, I stay up late. I like the bread. Story 73. The golf pictures released today, confirming he is still alive, have ruined my morning. I missed the joy of last night's Schrodinger's dictator. Story 74. There used to be a thread where every comment was Tom Cruise. They all connect in my mind. Story 75. I really enjoyed the one where someone made an absolutely awful-looking science-based dragon massively multiplayer online game and was rightly ripped apart for it. Story 76. There was a thread about Nikki Haley, and the top comment was simply cannot stand that hoe. Story 77. This probably shows my age, but in Soviet Russia, the bomb disarms you. Story 78. On the Roast Me subreddit, there was a man with eyes that pointed in opposite directions who asked to be roasted. Someone roasting him said, "That man must have a really hard time at buffets since he can see everything all at once. This happened many years ago, but I still laugh out loud at it. It was so random. How did he even think of that?" If you are out there somewhere reading this, thank you. Story 79. Popcorn tastes good. It was not a positive comment in the slightest given the context, but it really illustrated the gulf between Reddit and its user base. Story 80. The goal was to provide players a sense of pride and accomplishment. Story 81. Maybe the man who paid an escort and changed his mind during the encounter. Story 82. One of the finest posts on Reddit in the United Kingdom described a man who was made to pay £14 for the Jubilee Street barbecue or else was not allowed to leave his house. Story 83. I wish I remembered the exact sequence, but it was about jumper cables being harmless to clamp on your body if there was no electricity running through them. Someone replied, "Attach them to your testicles and see how harmless they really are." The person then posted a picture of himself doing exactly that. Story 84. I can't recall the user's name, and I believe the account has been deleted. But this comment was perfect and has likely helped more people than he could have imagined. So thank you to the original poster. My friend just died. I don't know what to do. Alright, here goes. I'm old. What that means is that I've survived so far, and a lot of people I've known and loved did not. I've lost friends, best friends, acquaintances, coworkers, grandparents, my mother, relatives, teachers, mentors, students, neighbors, and a host of other folks. I have no children, and I can't imagine the pain it must be to lose a child. But here's my 2 cents. I wish I could say you get used to people dying. I never did. I don't want to. It tears a hole through me whenever somebody I love dies, no matter the circumstances. But I don't want it to not matter. I don't want it to be something that just passes. My scars are a testament to the love and the relationship I had with that person. If the scar is deep, so was the love. Scars show that I can love deeply and live deeply, be cut or even gouged, heal, continue to live and continue to love. Scar tissue is stronger than the original flesh ever was. Scars are only ugly to people who cannot see. As for grief, you will find it comes in waves. When the ship is first wrecked, you are drowning with wreckage all around. Everything floating around you reminds you of the beauty and the magnificence of the ship that was and is no more. All you can do is float. You find some piece of the wreckage and you hang on for a while. Maybe it is some physical thing. Maybe it is a happy memory or a photograph. Maybe it is a person who is also floating. For a while, all you can do is float. Stay alive. In the beginning, the waves are 100 feet tall and crash over you without mercy. They come 10 seconds apart and do not even give you time to catch your breath. All you can do is hang on and float. After a while, perhaps weeks or months, you will find the waves are still 100 feet tall, but they come further apart. When they come, they still crash all over you and wipe you out. But in between, you can breathe and you can function. You never know what is going to trigger the grief. It might be a song, a picture, a street intersection, or the smell of a cup of coffee. It can be just about anything, and then the wave comes crashing. But in between waves, there is life. Somewhere down the line, and it is different for everybody, you will find that the waves are only 80 feet tall or 50 feet tall. While they still come, they come further apart. You can see them coming. An anniversary, a birthday, Christmas, or landing at O'Hare. You can prepare yourself. When it washes over you, you know that somehow you will come out the other side, soaking wet, sputtering, still hanging on to some tiny piece of the wreckage, but you will come out. Take it from an old guy. The waves never stop coming, and somehow you do not really want them to. But you learn that you will survive them, and other waves will come and you will survive them too. If you are lucky, you will have lots of scars from lots of loves and lots of shipwrecks. Story 85. The commenter wrote Donald Stump in reply to a post about a doctor saying he may need an amputation due to his swollen cankles. Story 86. A doctor once wrote about watching his patients die. After each death, he volunteered in the labor and delivery ward to appreciate the circle of life and death. I was impressed by his perspective and by his actions. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.